All right, this is Drive Safe Day here on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. And I have Mike hosted over there, Vice President of Sales and Marketing at ATBS. How you doing, Mike?
Good. How are you today? Drive Safe
Hey,
Day.
so you heard Rick and I talking a little bit about independent contractors, about what's going on today. Me and you're going to dive into that a little bit. But before we do that, tell me what ATBS is and what you do over there.
You betcha. Yeah, so ATBS stands for American Truck Business Services. We were formed in 1998 by Todd Amon and soon joined by his two brothers, Jeff and Matt Amon. Prior to founding ATBS, they owned their own truck line. So they know trucking. Everybody in our company knows trucking. But really, what the whole goal here at ATBS and our sole purpose is our goal is to help 1 to 20 truck fleets increase their profits, reduce their taxes as much as legally possible, of course, and then lead a better life. Our whole goal is to help the small trucking company, especially that one truck owner, run their company better, make better business decisions, and take care of the IRS for them, just making their life overall better. So my job here is to reach out, develop, and create partnerships like BCB Live, like trucking companies, like insurance companies, to make sure that we have access and can help these independent contractors that need help. And then another thing I really do and that I think do really well at is we develop content that's relevant to contractors today. What is it that's impacting their business today, and what can they do to improve their business? And I'll give you a good example, Dave. Earlier this year, when fuel skyrocketed and went through the roof, we put out a 10-part series on how do you get better fuel mileage. What can you do to change? What can you do to your truck? All these different things. Right now, number one cause of failure is maintenance. So we are, putting out articles on how much to save for maintenance and things like that.
Yeah, it just seems as you go, when the market's bad, it just becomes difficult out there for independent contractors to do their business. Like, let's do a snap. Let's jump back to last year, and we'll mention that. Last year, it was easy to make mistakes and still make a lot of money, right, Mike? I mean, it hit a lot of our inability to do well at what we do. You could be really not good at what you do and still make a lot of money, right?
You could. Yep. Yeah. So we saw a huge jump of independent contractors go from motor carriers to their own authority. They went out to the spot market, and like you said, they just could do anything they wanted. There were so many loads available. The rates were so high, you name it, that they could take any load they wanted. They could be successful and run half the miles they did the year before and still make really good money.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely were able to take advantage of the market at the time. And here it is, Mike, a year later. I remember this time last year as we entered into peak, we were all scrambling. I mean, people just wanted to know if you could get them a truck. They didn't care. They weren't even, can you at least pick the load up? I mean, I don't care. We'll figure the delivery out later, but can you just pick my load up? You know what I'm talking about? And now it's changed. Now the market has swung. The pendulum has come back. And we're facing some more difficult times for the same independent contractors, right?
Yep, you're right. You bring up a great point. We peaked about a year ago right now, actually, in terms of the spot market and everything like that. So about a year ago on the spot market, we were seeing almost 250 loads available for every one truck. And we were seeing rates roughly $3.23. At this time, we're seeing about 40 loads per one truck. And we're seeing rates down to about 260. Now, 260 sounds high, but when I back out fuel, the difference goes down to about 180. So kind of as your colleague had mentioned earlier, when I look at the real market and what's happened for the spot market, we've lost 80% of the available loads available to people with their own authority out in the spot market in 1 year. 80% drop in loads and about a 30% drop in the rates paid to the IC after we back out the cost of fuel. So if you're telling me you've got 80% less freight and 30% less money, I mean, that's a very tough proposition to swallow in a 1 year time span.
Yeah, and let's be honest, if you talk about that and you talk about how you were running last year and you were making hand over fist and you weren't really good at tightening the screws on the different points, here you are. If you don't tighten the screws and get better at what you do, you won't be in this business very long, right, Mike?
That's right, exactly. There's really, especially as the one truck operator, there's really, two main things you can do to make more money in this business. Number one is you can increase your revenue, right? You can find better contract loads, you can run more miles, whatever that may be. But number one, you can increase revenue. The only other thing you can do is you can decrease your costs. And so what's your number one cost? Fuel. And guess what? It's gone through the roof. And luckily, it's the one you can control the most. But those are really the two things you can do right now. So if you can't impact those greatly enough to make your business survive, then you need to be looking to change your business. Maybe go to a motor carrier and ride this storm out.
Hey, and you say that. So here you are. You jumped into the market like you. Okay, so you and I'll just give you the scenario. Last year, you were a company driver, right? And you decided to enter into the market, go out and buy a truck, and you entered into the market. You did well last year, and now all of a sudden it's become much more difficult to be able to maintain, to be able to make money, and run, and the kind of money you need to support your family. What are some of your suggestions, Mike, as we talk about it? That independent contractor that jumped out of the market yesterday, are you saying maybe look for some help?
Absolutely. I think now's the time. There's never been a better time than right now, to be honest, based on the spot market conditions and continuing dropping rates that we're seeing. The difference is spot market freights are based very quickly on market trends, whereas if you pull for a big motor carrier, there's contract rates that are 2, 3 years out in advance. So those rates stay the same. The other big deal that a lot of people don't think about, especially if you make that move from an employee, a company driver, to being your own boss, being on your own authority, is when you're doing that spot market freight, the cost of fuel is baked into that load. So that rate you're getting also covers the cost of fuel. Whereas if you're at a major motor carrier, or any motor carrier for that matter, they're going to pay the fuel surcharge. And that fuel surcharge is going to help offset these high costs right now. So, depending on what carrier you're at, that fuel surcharge, it should offset the cost of fuel, meaning you're not going to pay more for fuel so long as you're getting decent fuel mileage.
You're also giving up a little bit of your independence, right? When you go in and you're running as an independent contractor for a major motor carrier, and it's a hard decision to make, right? You jumped out, but really, we're talking about the difference between redefining your dream, and maybe making it work in a different way, instead of letting go of it altogether, right?
That's right. These trends are cyclical, so they happen in waves, right? And there's always up and down markets. And what do the best business owners do? They cater their business to the times. I will tell you that right now it costs about $50,000 more a year to be out on your own authority versus running for a motor carrier. By the time you pay for your extra insurance, your trailer, and then your operational losses where you can't, drop and hook and things like that, you're looking at about $50,000 more you need to make in order to offset those costs. Whereas if you go to a motor carrier, you get insurance discounts, fuel discounts, they do all your booking, your billing, there's drop and hook, all those different things. So it's a really good time to explore that option. And there's a lot of companies out there where, yes, you're going to be under their authority, but you still get to choose your own freight. So I'm not telling you what to do, but I think it's a really good time to explore your options to get through this downturn. And then, like you said, you can alter your business again once, the market turns around and things get better.
Yeah, there are many things out there that contractors have to face these days that larger carriers have dealt with. Number one, it's safety, right? I mean, these larger carriers deal with safety in a different way than, let's say, an independent contractor. I mean, with records and keeping that information and being as an independent contractor, you can be a great truck driver. It doesn't mean you know all the laws when it comes to the safety. It doesn't mean you know all the rules and regs that are required to you under the FMCSA. It doesn't mean that, and I'm just saying it's hard also, if you want to get out there and run, you got to spend office hours, right, in order to make your business work functionally. And you should be paid for that. And if you look at it in a certain way, sometimes these larger carriers in these moments are going to be some of your best alternatives.
Yep, I agree. With the contract freight that they can offer that maintains high rates even in down markets, with consistent lanes, with a lot of load choice and percentage pay now. There's a lot of good options out there. So again, I'm not telling anybody that's the end all be all, but it's definitely one of the better options you can have in the current situation that we're facing, in terms of spot market freight.
Mike, we sit here and we talk about this and we talk about falling under the umbrella of another larger company as an independent contractor. AB5 challenges that concept. On the ruling out in California, it has made it more difficult to be an independent contractor underneath the authority of a trucking company. What is your views on AB5 and how it's going to be viewed and related to the business today?
Sure. So, initially, and as it is right now, AB5 really only impacts you if you're domiciled in California. So if you live in California and you're an independent contractor, it's really hitting you in the face right now. There is the potential that it moves on to other states, and there is some push for it to make it nationwide. I don't believe personally it'll get there. I think I don't like the rule. I don't think it's good for any business, and I could give you a lot of anecdotal stories that people have really faced hard times based on this and don't know what to do. But what I can tell you is major carriers took their business out of California for independent contractors in 2019 when this came up. So a lot of the big companies around the country that had independent contractors in California, when this came up in 2019, they said, that's it, we're cutting it. If you're a contractor in California, you either have to move or we're not going to let you run for us as an independent contractor.
It's a
Those
shame, Mike, and I agree with you. Coming from a background where, I worked, got my own truck, ran under the authority, and started to fulfill that dream from the very beginning back, in the 90s. And here we are. They're talking about ending that business model, right? I mean, that was a big business. That's a big business model for a lot of independent contractors out there on the road trying to grab a little bit of the American dream. I mean, I think it's challenging for them.
Yep, I agree. I could give you one quick story. We've got a client of ours. He's been a client forever. He started off with one truck in the Los Angeles metro area. He has grown his fleet to 10 trucks now. He's on payroll. He's got a corporation. He's out of the truck. He's booking freight. He's on a TMS. He's got contracts with agents. He's a businessman now. Anyway, this AB5 came in. He has spent tens and tens of thousands of dollars with lawyers trying to figure out two check systems, trying to figure out what to do next. He's basically got two options right now. One is move he and his, young family out of the state of California so he doesn't get hit with all this. Or two, wait and see and hope that something gets changed. But those are really his two options. Otherwise, he's going to have to, put his dream out of business.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think this law was put into effect initially, and it wasn't about trucking. It was put into effect about the Uber drivers and the Lyft drivers and that kind of stuff in a different mindset and a different mentality because of their inability to make, that they were also getting food. They were working, but getting food stamps. That's not what we're talking about here. I mean, we're talking about a total different industry and a different way of life and a different meaning. I don't think that's apples and oranges. I don't think they're apples and apples. And I think it's going to come to a head. I hope that we across the country do things differently. How is ATBS, honestly, Mike, going to help the organizations out there that come looking for you right now to help you in?
Yeah. So ATBS, what we really do is we put a micro focus on running your business like a business. Kind of like you had mentioned earlier. Last year anybody could run a business, book freight, make money, do things, and have a really great year. Well, that's changed. And so what ATBS does is we get you your own business consultant that knows the trucking industry. They've breathed it, they've maybe even driven a truck, they've done this for their whole life, and they're going to help you run it like a business. So we help take care of all the paperwork for you. If you get a receipt, if you get a settlement, you take a picture of it, send it to us. We're going to do all that bookkeeping for you. We're going to get you monthly P&Ls to help you really analyze your business. And this isn't like, hey, I got a low paycheck or a high paycheck, I'm doing good or bad. This is, let's look at the numbers, let's make a budget, and let's figure out what we're doing well and what we're not doing well, and understand the numbers. So maybe our fuel mileage went down and we need to assess that. Maybe we're not saving enough for maintenance and we need to make sure we have money for that rainy day. But also going to keep you compliant with the IRS at the same time. So we're going to be a great business coach in a downtime, but we're also going to handle that pesky IRS for you and make sure you don't have that come knocking at your door.
Yeah, you know, and what you're talking about are these KPIs, these key point indicators. They allow you to make adjustments in your business model to make better money. I mean, it gives you an opportunity to adjust, correct, and facilitate better decisions, right? I mean, if you know where you stand, I mean, it's like Sir Rick, who was on earlier, always used to say, if you know you suck, and you know, then you know how to fix it, right? I mean, then you know what you need to do not to suck anymore. But if you don't know, you can't fix it. So I think what you're talking about here is fantastic in and of itself. You know, my guy, we could go on about the ails and the problems out there today dealing with independent contractors and what they're facing today. But I think we all, and like myself, we all kind of need sometimes a life coach, right? We all need sometimes a person out there to help jump in and say, look, all right, team, you guys, nobody's blocking, all right? I mean, we all need that. Sometimes, I mean, and if you're struggling, and I know, here it is, Mike, here's my big question to you. How do I see, because it's obviously not free, how do I see genuine dividends pay off in these investments for these small guys?
In terms of using ATBS, is that
Yeah,
what you mean?
absolutely. Because I want you to know it does cost money, but in the intern, sometimes you have to spend a little to make more, right?
That's right. Yep, that's right. Well, so we're a, you know, we work with 15,000 contractors, so we have a scale where we have our price very low to start with. The other thing is our service is tax deductible in itself. It's a business tool, so it's a tax deduction in itself. But getting that coaching and looking at your numbers and really making business decisions is going to pay off right away. You know, we're going to help you look at your fuel mileage. We're going to help you look at your maintenance savings. We're going to help you look at your tax savings. We're going to look at every financial aspect you have and take you through it automatically. And by doing that on a monthly basis, we're going to say, hey, on one call, look, your fuel mileage went down or your revenue went down. Everything that you said based on your plan was hitting these key metrics, but you didn't hit it. What do we need to do to get there? It's a reality check that a lot of people don't get, like you had mentioned, that we're going to do. But not only that, we're going to give you a trucking professional tax return. We're going to get you the most deductions possible. Every single time, 95% of our clients, we find a deduction for that they would have missed had they gone to somewhere else. So if you went to H&R Block, Jackson Hewitt, your buddy down the street, they don't know trucking. We do. We go through every single line item on your tax return, and we look for things that are missing, and we're going to find something that's going to pay for itself right away.
Well, you know what, Mike, man, I do appreciate it. I like the idea that you guys are that blocker with the government. Okay, to stand there, because there always is the IRS, man, when it comes to your own business. Hey, Mike, I appreciate you jumping out here and helping us. If anybody needs to reach you or ATBS, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so atbs.com is the easiest way to get a hold of us. We've got contact us forms. There's a chat function. Or if you get on our website, you can give us a call. Really easy. Anyway, just get on atbs.com, find that phone number. You can ask for me directly if you want. I'm here. Been here 14 years, almost 15 years, so I'll be here for a while.
All right. We hope you're there another 15 years, Mike. I'll tell you what, congratulations on the 15 years and also on that new son that you have. I hope you have a great holiday there with that as well and your family. Before you get out of here, Mike, I always ask my guests to state their name, who they're with, and that you're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Can you do that, sir?
You got it. Drive safe, Dave. My name is Mike Hosted. I'm the VP of Sales and Marketing at ATBS, and you're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Man, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, sir. We'll have you on again soon, okay?
Thank you, sir.
All right. Bye now.